I've used D'Addario strings myself for at least 30 years, if not more.
Everybody who comes in here, with very, very few exceptions, plays D'Addario strings. And they didn't get there because of any reason except dependability and tone.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Keys for Premier Guitar. Today we're going to take a look at the top 10 rig rundowns of 2023. To do so, brought my colleagues on board here, John Bollinger, Perry Bean.
Hello.
And we're going to give you our thoughts on the top 10. They don't know what it is, and the way we got there is just by the views that you guys have produced and the numbers that have been clicked. So they have no idea, so we'll get genuine responses from them.
Okay.
But before we get into the actual top 10, I feel like it would be nice to include some people that didn't quite hit the top 10, but were fun and also got some high numbers. Those people would include Jared James Nichols,
Yeah.
Trivium, Sun, Nile Rodgers. And I guess in the 11th spot, if we're going to number them, would be Vince Gill and Paul Franklin. Any thoughts on any of those five?
I honestly can't believe Vince Gill and Paul Franklin didn't make top 10.
Oh,
The thing that makes it tricky when we tabulate it is because some of these go up
later.
Right.
later.
later.
So and I tried to equate the fact that some have shelf life that's shorter than others. So
Right.
they were higher in regard of their spot on the list, making 11th.
Right.
But their views were lower. But I think that one came out in August or September.
Yeah, it was pretty late in the year.
Yeah.
But it's very popular with our audience, and that was a fun one. We actually went to Vince's house.
Yeah,
That was
it
amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very unconventional rundown in the sense that, I mean, Paul Franklin is a legend in and of its own right. He could have been his own rundown.
Yeah.
But then, beyond that, just the gear.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Vince's
that-
collection is like a museum, so we had to pick.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, it's better than any museum I've been to.
Right.
His collection is just legendary.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he had like that first 335 that his mom and dad bought him.
Yeah.
So, buy your kids a good guitar and they'll have it forever.
Yeah.
If they're good kids.
Yeah, and then like he had some like old telly, like one of the first tellies he had when he moved to Nashville out of Oklahoma. So
Yeah.
it's fun to see him. He's a steward of the instrument. He
Right.
mentioned
He
in
really
the
loves
rundown.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does it. People maybe give him flack or like someone like Joe Bonamassa that collect, or even Isbell that collect instruments. But it's for them. They don't have cars. They don't have boats.
Right.
Guitars are the thing that they're baseball cards.
Right.
Yeah, and this isn't like a new thing.
Yeah.
They've done it forever.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Vince was, okay, personally, I find gear not that interesting, but I find the stories behind gear
Very interesting.
Yeah.
fascinating. And to hear just how it all happened is, to me, that's what makes a great rundown. It's
Yeah.
it's more the stories behind, or the choices why they have what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then going with that angle is to go back with Jared James Nichols is the fact that he uses a single P90 fingerstyle and he plays rock and roll,
Right.
high octane rock and roll, and it's his signature sound that's now his signature guitars after it has been shaped on kind of where he started, which was
Right.
that single P90 Epiphone that took him around the world. Oh glory! It's funny how his sound is based on that starting point, and
Right.
everything else is built around that thing.
Yeah, and Jared James is just, I mean, he is that was one of my top 10, just to hear him play and hear the stories, and he just doesn't sound like anybody else.
Yeah.
He's a legitimate, real deal rock star.
Oh,
Even
God.
if you don't like blues music and just
Yeah.
put him on, it's like, you're gonna be impressed.
Yeah, yeah.
He is just such a monster player and such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he's a Viking warrior.
He really is, and he's a monster of a man. This
Yeah.
guy is a giant.
He's the first call if I ever need it.
Oh, if I need backup, I'm calling Jared
Yeah.
James
You know
Nichols.
what? And he seems like the kind of guy
That would show
if it's
up.
if it's going down, if a fight broke out today, I think he'd be right there with
I
us.
could just see him squealing tires in his
Yeah.
70s muscle car, hey, I heard you need some help.
Funny enough,
Yeah.
he has a muscle car.
Yeah, great dude.
So let's roll into the top 10.
All right, let's do
Number
it.
10, Blackberry Smoke. That was one that you guys
Oh.
filmed.
Well, I mean, that whole band is great, but Charlie also is interesting because he's got an odd collection of guitars, but they're all very Charlie Starr. He
Yeah.
uses them for a very specific reason. He's got great gear, maybe not the best gear you've ever seen, but it's like really incredible player grade.
It's
stuff.
intentional.
Yes. Yeah.
And a monster player. To hear him do what's interesting about them is, their band's pretty much that kind of straight ahead Southern bluesy rock.
Yeah.
But God, he's got this Merle Travis stuff that he does, and it is wildly impressive.
Yeah.
So, and I love just a gritty band of guys that have been playing forever, and have had an incredible run.
It's good to see them getting some recognition finally too, because I feel like they've been road dogging it, man. Those guys deserve it. They've been at it a long time.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these that will come up, and in a lot of our shoots that take us around Nashville that end up being at the Ryman a lot. Like they headlined the Ryman 2 nights in a row, sold out. So good for them.
It's surprising they're number one though, because they're a little under the radar.
Yeah, well, that's number 10. I'm sorry. We're going to go backwards. 10.
Sorry. Okay.
10 to 1. So that was number 10.
I'm not a great listener.
150,000 views.
Okay.
And that one went up, not that, it didn't get the full length either.
Sure.
So number 9, this was a fun one. This is taking us out of our comfort zone of 615, was Tim Pierce.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a great one.
That was a great one.
We call that one the Tone Bunker.
Yeah.
Oh man, that guy's got gear for days.
Well, it's like, and it's all built around his little spaceship. That remember we had to tuck you in
Yeah.
to get you into that
Right.
part where we talk about his pedals, because everything was very economic and ergonomic, so he can make decisions on the fly quickly for his lifestyle and what he does for recording and that thing.
Yeah, everything is very methodical and dialed in, and I love the fact that he had none of this aux stuff. I mean, he was miking amps. He had these cabinets in his garage in a room. He built this, kind of panic room that had these.
You can't
these
really
cabinets.
see it in the rundown because it was very hard to photograph. But in his garage, it's almost like a tornado shelter.
Yeah.
Built in, just full of cabs.
Yeah.
And that's a very unique rundown as well, since it's not typically the rundown is like touring guys.
Yeah.
But to see it, the gear conversation from a completely different approach,
Right.
is very interesting.
And those cabinets were just jet engine loud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how much cabling is he running?
Oh my goodness.
Because most guys you kind of want shorter cables, but that speaker cable had to run all the way from upstairs to his garage, and then he's running an XLR or several from his. I mean, that's a lot of cabling. Sounds amazing. It just shows you that this stuff that we worry about doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah.
And it's funny because with his regard, we all have understanding partners and spouses, as you with the collection and playing at loud volumes at inappropriate times.
Yeah. I've had 3 understanding spouses.
But Tim's partner or wife has to have the top, slot in that patience and understanding category because of how much real estate his collection takes up.
Right.
Taking over the garage. It's a
The
thing.
whole top floor of his
Yeah,
house.
right. Although, palatial house.
Oh,
beautiful.
beautiful
God,
home.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about a successful LA musician, that looks like that kind of house.
And I love to do this because it throws us off the gear path for just a brief minute. He suggested a brilliant Thai place that we went to
Right
lunch.
down the street.
One of the best meals we had.
Yeah.
It's the best Thai food I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah.
So thanks to Tim for that
Yeah,
heads up. Moving on, number 8, Government Mules, Warren Haynes.
God, loved it.
Legend.
My favorite thing about that rundown is he always has, that's got to be the greatest guest
Setup.
guest artist. So because every time they play, everybody wants to jam with Government Mule. And that day it was Peter Frampton and probably other people, but I just remember when we pulled up, Peter is doing "I look at you all," and they were working it up right then and played it that night. And to hear him do that, and I couldn't get a sitter that day, so my daughter was there watching it. I'm like, you don't realize how cool this is. Someday you'll thank me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also, so we do 52 of these a year, so forgive me. Wasn't he playing something weird, like a Soldano?
Yeah.
Super lead or something? Like
100 water.
Yeah, it was
Right.
he had amps that I just would never expect.
How about that 12-string Les Paul?
Oh, so cool.
God, with the long neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, not doubled up like the
No.
normal.
It looked like a
12-string.
boat paddle or
Yeah,
something.
that head just went on for
Forever.
forever.
Yeah, and Warren's just a master of the instrument, so
Oh God. Man.
it's always fun to see what he's playing. And then what was that one Les Paul that he had that it was a scrap guitar.
Right.
And it's one of his favorites.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was an interesting tale. Yeah.
Again, yeah, it just I love that stuff. It's I think the best guitars are almost like a stray puppy that walks up to you and licks your hand, and then it becomes your best friend for the rest of your life or the rest of its life.
Yeah.
That's like that guitar was a dog.
It, like, found it.
hanging on the
Yeah,
wall. It's like, how about that one?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, that was cool.
All right, number 7, Billy Strings.
Oh.
Gotta hand it to Billy, man. You know what? That guy almost single-handedly made bluegrass cool again.
Right.
And what blows my mind about Billy, not only is, he's a remarkable talent, the guy's touched by the hand of God, but his ability to borrow audiences.
Right.
Like, holy shit, if you go see Billy Strings, it's not just bluegrassers. It's like Deadheads and Fish
Yeah.
fans and like
What do you call them, wooks?
Wooks, a lot of wooks going on. Sorry to offend any wooks out there watching right now, but take a shower. But no. His audience is just like all over the place.
Yeah.
Young people, old people, new music fans, old music fans. It's like this guy. That's how you can tell he's the real deal, man.
It's amazing too because earlier this year, and I think it's coming up again either the end of this year or next year, he sold a Bridgestone like 3 nights in a row.
Oh, yeah.
He's playing arenas and selling them out. It's wild that
When's the last time
music.
a bluegrass guy did that?
Yeah.
Never.
It's amazing.
Sam Bush couldn't do that, and I love Sam Bush, but like he ain't taking on Bridgestone.
The thing that I really loved, and that was one where me and Perry drove up to Indianapolis and did at this amphitheater, was his reverence for because you started out the interview before getting into his setup was talking to him about playing Doc Watson's guitar and then also Willie Nelson's, trigger.
Sure.
And he almost couldn't bring words out of his being to explain what that meant to him.
Yeah, you could tell he was honest about his reverence for those instruments for sure. I guess he had the opportunity on the California Sober Sessions I guess Willie said, "Hey, want to play this?" How intimidating is that?
Yeah, right.
How fragile could that?
That thing just looks like it's a.
Yeah.
Ooh, you threw a cigarette the wrong way. That thing's going up in the flames, man.
Yeah, that wood is dry.
And then, and in typical Billy fashion, because we did that last one, was it 2018 or 2019 at the Ryman, and he had a whole pedal board. At that time, he had a tube amp, that Fender, but of course, he had 4 or 5 drawers of pedals still.
Oh, so many pedals going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had that Casio, like electric guitar.
Yeah.
Keyboard guitar thing, whatever, MIDI thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he
but-
shredded it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, he's got to be ready for everything because he'll do Dust on a Baggie, then he'll do War Pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Love it. I love what that guy's about.
All right. Number 6. This was a fun one. We have a couple field trips in this one. This was fun. Alter Bridge. That was one with Drum Rundown host Jared James joined me and John to our trip to Memphis.
yeah.
We got to check out 2 new pieces of gear. At that point, Miles's PRS had come out, so we kind of knew that.
Yeah.
But we were
The
the one
amp.
to be able to reveal the amp.
Right.
Tremonti's.
Yeah.
You guys haven't been able to shut up about that amp since. It sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Mark is also just like,
terribly wrong.
God, the sweetest.
Oh, God, man.
I want to be like Tremonti when I grow up.
Yeah.
He's just such a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And it was on that rundown, I learned that Mark is actually this kind of amazing Sinatra-style singer.
Right.
God, I had no idea. Check out his Christmas song. It's just incredible.
You know what was funny about that situation, and a lot of times we get heat in the comments, so hopefully this might clear it up, and probably won't, but we often have to wedge our shoots in between sound check, line check, and everything else that happens before a concert. And that was one of those instances where we had a window of time to film, and Mark, just being the gearhead he was or is, we went way over time.
Oh, yeah.
And so everyone behind the camera was freaking out, tapping their wrists about time to go, and Mark couldn't be bothered. 'Cause
Yeah.
You and him were in a great
Yeah,
conversation
yeah.
about gear.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that one guitar that Paul Reed Smith says he'll
Yeah.
never build again?
God, I love that.
Would you play that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not me. I don't think I would tour with it. It's just not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
That case that came with it?
Oh, God, it's as big as a Volkswagen. Yeah.
And I think our favorite thing, again, outside the gear, was before we left Memphis, the three of us went to Gus's Fried Chicken, and who did we run into?
To the weather guy.
Al Roker.
Al Roker. Al Roker was walking out as we were walking in.
Yeah, held the door for us.
It's like, hey, Al. Hey.
The nation's weatherman. Couldn't be nicer.
Yeah, and now let's take a look at your neck of the woods.
Yeah, right. God, that was
Well,
great.
number 5, Steve Vai.
Oh, wow.
And again, these are kind of fluid because when they show up on the calendar. So this one came out, I think, either in July or August.
Yeah.
And so, give it time, it might hit that one spot at some point. But yeah, Steve Vai, we filmed that at the CMA Theater in
Right.
downtown Nashville. What was your takeaway? Because you hosted that one.
Well, I've been a longtime fan of Jack Butler. You know, that was his devil name in.
yeah.
do you remember?
Crossroads?
Yeah, Crossroads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Against Ralph
Yeah,
Macchio.
yeah. So I mean, I've been a fan since Jack Butler, and I was a little soul crushed that he didn't do it, but it was amazing to just hear how it all went down and see what a creative, whimsical guy he is. I mean, he just keeps pushing it, and that new insane guitar of his,
The Hydra.
the Hydra, that alone, to just behold that thing, incredible.
It's wild. One of my favorite things about that rundown is like being his guitar tech is so involved that the dude lives with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That is crazy.
Yeah, how else would you do it? You're
Yeah.
you know,
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, he was, and I think to speak so highly on his regard is that if he ever, Steve stops retiring, or whatever happens, that tech is worth his weight in gold because
yeah.
he was so knowledgeable and
God.
He was modding his guitars to Steve's old specs, to
Yeah.
like the new ones he would get in from him.
Right.
It was
beyond just guitar knowledge, that guy had such a knowledge of Steve's
Yeah.
gear
Catalog,
and
yeah.
catalog and work.
Yeah.
It was just like, whoa.
Yeah, that was his gig.
I think
Yeah.
the one that really made it stand out to me that he was something head and shoulders above a lot of techs is that he told us that story. I think it was overseas. Something crapped out on his pedal board, or maybe it was his fractal, and he had to go manually make the changes of the patches on the fly. And
By memory.
He knew the
and
show.
He knew
Yeah.
it. He knew it. He nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, Vi might not have even known
Yeah.
that he was making those changes. It was so seamless.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Number 4, another Ryman one, Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That dude travels with some heavy guitars
Yeah.
in terms of worth and weight and just in just value.
Yeah, I love that he had that. He'd kind of been searching forever for a burst and finally found the one, and God knows what he paid for it. It had to be.
Was that the guitar where he had to call his parents and his agent?
Oh, no,
Like,
that
was
was
the
the
first
very
Strat.
first Strat.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was a very
first
interesting
vintage
story,
Strat.
like-
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great story,
You
too.
know the confidence you have to have as a guitar player to be like, no, I will be able to pay this back. Just you got to buy me this
Right.
priceless guitar,
Yeah.
and I will make it right.
Yeah.
That was that 61 Strat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which was, his number one, still is his number one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing's whittled down to
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
toothpick.
And I love the mock-up that Fender did of it.
Did a good job.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
But to his credit, he takes him out on the road still.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
That one and the burst, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 3, coming in a third spot. I don't want to speak for you. I'll let you talk about it. Satchel.
Oh,
Steel Panther.
How fun was that?
Yeah, that was on my list, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So expound.
Well, I mean, what can you say about Satchel? It is again, gear is not that interesting. Stories are really interesting, and that guy is a story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I love the fact that, I love the history of this whole kind of San Dimas, shred guitar, which disappeared when Nirvana came out. It was such a thing, and it was such a discipline to become that sort of a guitarist. And then suddenly, it's sort of obsolete for about 15 years, So this guy had these incredible chops and nowhere to put it. And then I think he's in
It was a Van Halen cover, tribute band.
Yeah, it was Atomic Punk.
Yeah.
They were a Van Halen tribute act, Atomic Punk.
I remember
and
seeing him at NAMM.
Right. I remember seeing, I think I caught him at, I don't know, the old House of Blues that was on Sunset.
Okay.
Yeah, like years ago. Just happened to be in town and saw them, and it was just amazing. And I love the fact that art kind of finds a way. He had this very specific set. They all did. The whole band did, and it sort of became obsolete, and then they brought it back. And it's sort of making fun of itself, but it's also, the music is awesome.
Yeah, beyond the gimmick, he actually
God,
rips.
yeah.
That whole band just shreds, man.
Yeah.
It's like, they're the real deal.
Do you remember I said, hey man, do you want to open up just playing like us? Nah, I've already done all that.
Yeah, we asked him if he would play like an intro, and I think Jared, kind guy that he is, he attended the show because he did a drum rundown with Styx, and he got some footage for us. But yeah, I think he joked like, you can't afford that. So he made a joke about like he wasn't going to do it for free.
Just didn't do it, which made me love him even more.
I had to keep stopping that edit because I was just laughing, because the guy was just too funny.
Yeah, that is, it's like you're saying, they found the joke, they found the art, but they're also in on the joke.
Right.
And that's what makes it enjoyable.
Yeah. It doesn't offend anybody. It's laughing at yourself and the actual the work.
Musicianship.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah. They could do. I would say that they could do anything, but to do that in a way that brings fun and lightheartedness to an era that is not here anymore.
Right. Yeah.
All right, number 2, and these ones are linked up because I think like both these guys don't know that they're coming in. But number 2 is Julian Lage. Julian Lage.
Wow.
Now again, he came out at the very end of January, so he had a full 11, 12 months to get these views. But yeah, he racked up almost over 250.
Wow, isn't that amazing? A jazz guitarist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
And with like not a ton of gear.
No.
Couple guitars,
2 pedals.
A simple setup, but that guy can play. The truth is in that dude's fingers. He's just
And the phrasing and just like the idea of how he combines notes, because it's not necessarily RPMs. It's just the emotions he gets out of the chord combinations and the movements.
Yeah. I watch him playing and I think he's not even here right now.
No,
he is just connected to music somewhere else.
How about that Spinal Tap guitar that
God,
he
I
was?
love
Oh, how cool. Yeah.
Christopher Guest, 54 last fall, right?
Yeah.
Was it 54 or 56? I can't remember. Watch it again, we'll find out. But
Didn't Les Paul actually sign it?
Yeah.
Which Christopher Guest didn't like.
Yeah, that's so weird. Beyond that guy's playing, his personality is just striking to me because he's like, God, one of the most well-spoken and thoughtful guys, like.
Yeah.
It's like listening to NPR, just being around him.
Yeah.
He could have some really bad tendencies based on his talent. Sometimes people have inflated egos, but he couldn't be more humbler or approachable.
Right.
And it's almost aggravating that someone that good can also be that kind.
Like free of ego. Yeah.
And what didn't really get across in the video was the fact that I was amazed at how quietly they all play.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been tortured by loud bands, for my entire career, and to have guys just gathered in a circle and really listening, and it goes down to a whisper and then comes up to a roar, but it never gets that loud. That was amazing. I thought, man, why can't I play with guys that are quiet?
Because then everyone will hear your mistakes.
Yeah, right. Oh,
As
they'll
you
hear
always
them.
say.
Well,
They'll hear them.
we need to just start playing jazz, man.
Yeah,
Just
right.
Keep moving.
That's right.
Okay, so coming in number 1, again, this one came in just not that long ago, but very similar musically. Pat Metheny. It has over 150,000 views in less than a month now? Month and a half?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just kind of projected it to be, given that timeline,
Right.
would easily eclipse Julian at 250.
Interesting. Both jazz guitarists.
Yeah.
One with the most gear I've ever seen.
Right.
Act.
One with hardly any.
God, like how was this? Yeah, yeah. Julian has, guitar, like a, God, like the pedals were nothing.
Yeah, like a Strymon Flint, I think.
Yeah.
For tremolo.
Yeah.
And a boost that he said he rarely turns on.
Yeah.
And then you flip that for Pat, and it's like,
Oh God.
shout out to Andre. That dude is
Oh,
gotta
man.
be
Yeah.
Yeah.
have one of the most challenging jobs in the world. Like,
Yeah.
I just saw the cabling when we walked in. I'm like, nope, this is not for me.
Nope.
I don't like this at all.
And the crazy tuning and the
The
42
freaking
string
orbs
guitar.
that he used for the metronomes. And
Well, how about
stuff.
those weird, like Edward Scissorhand, mechanical percussion
stuff,
devices?
yeah.
Some sort
What
of
the
strange,
hell?
like calliope
Yeah.
of mechanical nonsense. It's just like
I got the sweats just
actuators.
walking in there.
Oh
Well, I
yeah,
know.
oh yeah.
And the thing is, Metheny just alone with an acoustic guitar is unbelievable,
Yeah.
but he just keeps pushing it.
Yeah.
But he always has, that crazy Roland guitar that he's been playing since they came out in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah. Those early synths,
Yeah.
you know, and to be able to play that and make it sound cool. Like, I don't know if you ever messed with one of those. They don't
No.
track great. Yeah,
No.
like that's kind of a, you know.
No interest.
No.
But it's kind of rather than trying to track down the thing that does the thing maybe better or more modernly, he stuck with that Roland thing. And
Right.
he's like, okay, I got that figured out.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
whatever year that was, in the 70s, I assume.
Yeah.
And he's moving on to the next,
Yeah.
rabbit hole.
Right. Yeah.
I love that's such a like rare piece of gear that they have a guy on speed dial for the parts that they might need to fix it because they're so hard to find.
Right.
Oh no, we got a guy for that.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like looking at Andre like you know a dude that custom remakes these parts? Yeah.
Yeah. That thing
right.
gives you problems. So, if you're Andre, and as he has, you got to have solutions.
Right.
And he's got them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's got the answers to your questions.
It's funny because he sent us a link on the email follow-up of once a rig rundown. We typically like, hey, it's out there, share it if you like. Andre sent us a video link to a conversation he had with an astronaut. So the dude can hold his own, you know what I mean? Like he literally had an interview about astrophysics with a NASA.
Oh, Andre's like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a very interesting cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because we got there and we thought we were going to have, again, we had plenty of time to film and it turned out great. But Andre, in typical his fashion, he's like, yeah, I reworked the whole rig.
Right before you guys showed up.
Yeah.
God.
Just to kill time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny that those two, and this changes every year based on who tours and who we hit in Nashville and who has availability. But yeah, the top two would be not what you
Jazzers.
think.
Yeah.
Not at all. Well, okay, so who did you think?
Ooh.
I would have thought maybe something more rockin'. I don't know. I just think that maybe it's my blind spot as a guy that's a rocker. But I always think that maybe those bigger acts
Right.
that draw, because both those, Julian was at the Brooklyn Bowl, which is probably like 1,100 cap.
Yeah,
And the
right.
Ryman's about 2,200.
Yeah.
I just assume bigger venues, bigger acts,
Right.
bigger
Arenas.
views.
Yeah, you'd think that stadiums and arenas would draw in more. But,
Yeah. No, that's kind of where I was thinking. But it's cool to see that because as much as we need the gear to have the show, it shows that those two guys, it's their artistry.
Right.
What they have up here between
Absolutely.
their ears versus that draws people in more so than like, "Oh, what Ibanez is he using?"
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, what would you say, and this will end on this note, who would someone that you would like to do for 2024? Obviously there's some tours named already and listed that are coming in this early spring. But, what's a wish list for you guys?
Whew. Do they have to be alive?
Yeah, let's
That's the one
make that.
caveat.
Yeah,
It has to be possible.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking Django would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be one of those things where it'd be like, it's in the fingers.
Yeah, it'd be the stories.
What are you doing with this one? What are you doing with that one?
Okay, well, guys, I got to think for a minute. What do you got?
Man, you know what? We have been shooting a ton to try to get ready for this next year. And some of the ones that we have in the can, I was really, really happy to get. And I'm excited. I don't want to spill the beans. But we got some really, really cool rundowns coming this year. I'm excited for that.
Some familiar faces with some re-ups, we'll say.
Definitely got some of that.
All right, that's the top 10, and with some addendums there beforehand. But let's talk about personal favorites or some favorite stories that didn't quite make the list that we haven't talked about yet. John, you got anything?
Okay, I got two of them.
Okay.
First on on Nile Rodgers, he had the Hitmaker, that amazing Strat that he's had forever.
Super light.
Yeah, just an incredible guitar, a legendary guitar that we have heard our whole life. And they pulled it out of the cheapest Guitar Center $30 gig bag you've ever seen. I'm kind of like, what's the deal? He said, nobody's going to steal a guitar in a bag like this.
Yeah.
I thought that is so clever.
Well, now the cat's out of the bag, bud. Literally.
Yeah, actually, let's erase that. Okay, well, moving on quickly. The other amazing thing that I loved was on Little Feet, that Hendrix Strat
The Strat story. What are the chances?
Right.
That was so interesting.
Two of them.
Two of them.
Two of them.
Two Hendrix Strats.
Black Strats, yeah.
Yeah, circled into that current lineup of that band.
And speaking again of awesome wives, wasn't Fred's wife the one that
Picked it out.
Picked it
Right.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love that he sends his wife to buy him gear.
yeah,
I was like, yeah, I need a mandolin. Okay, go get it.
yeah. Get it,
I need
honey.
a Strat. Well, here's a
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix.
Will a
on
Hendrix Strat work? Yeah,
Strat. Yeah.
yeah.
I bet she's cool.
Yeah, gotta be, or touched by God. I don't know, man. That's amazing.
I think one of my favorite ones in this, they can kind of be lumped together in the broader sentiment that we often come across, and it really warms our hearts and it makes us feel like we're doing something good, is that a lot of people enjoy. They look forward to being on the show. They
Yeah.
they love it.
Right.
And two of the guys that stand out, or two groups, was Alluvial, Wes, who
Oh,
we just
Wes
put
is so
up,
cool. Yeah, yeah.
and then the guys, Irish fellows from Fontaine's, DC.
DC. Oh, that
Those
was
both were I told us aside, this is so great that we finally got to do it. We've been watching it for years. So that was really cool. And then that energy and enthusiasm they bring to it, it allows us to really have fun and laid
Sure.
back, because sometimes you never know. Sometimes people aren't into gear, you know, they had a bad lunch, whatever it might
Or
be.
they've never seen the show.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
these guys are in those moments, and I know Charlie Starr was like that, like Blackberry
Yeah.
Smoke, they're really glad to be on it and be a part of it. So in those moments, and those two bands, or two guys specifically, groups of people, were really awesome, and it was fun to have that camaraderie, like, we love your music and what you're doing, and you know who we are. That's so rad.
That's always
Yeah.
a fun feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Perry?
Man, I loved Hermanos Gutierrez.
Yeah.
I think, I had not heard of that band before we shot that. And then, after that rundown, I went home and checked it out. And it's just like such a cool soundtracky kind
Yeah.
of movie-scape kind of band. Great guys, very well spoken,
Super chill,
super laid back.
kind of like their music.
Yeah, a lot like, they kind of are their music. Like, they're just real laid back,
Yeah.
easygoing fellas, and really good at what they do. I thought that their choices of gear was, very intentional. And I just loved that the one brother had that cool snake painted on his
Yeah.
crotch. I just thought that was such a cool little.
And he had like a sticker or a decal, something to remind him of his daughter while
Yeah,
he's
that
touring.
was
He's
really
a young
cool too,
daughter.
yeah.
Some other ones that I thought were cool, personal, favorite because of what he's done for music that I listen to is Kurt Ballou and Converge, and the fact that some dude that has God City that also not only produces music and engineers stuff like that, albums and stuff, but also
Guitars,
has like
yeah.
gear, like
Yeah.
he sells guitars, he sells pickups, pedals, but toured with the Line 6 Helix.
Yeah, which, laugh all you want, that dude did his homework.
Yeah.
It was honestly kind of I've never seen such a comprehensive explanation of how that thing works,
Yeah.
how he's using it, and why.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like, I can't argue with you. Like, there's nothing in the world that I could possibly say.
Yeah, and it's funny because you get those encounters where someone either did the whole setup years ago, so they forget it. So we try to pry some information out of them, like what amps are you using or what amps are you modeling, and some people don't either do it, like they have techs do it, or
Right.
someone set it up, or someone else in the band,
don't
or
remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kurt was on it.
Oh yeah. And experience like meeting him and talking to him and doing a rundown with him. It's like you are immediately aware like that this guy is not only a killer musician but an amazing producer. He's
Yeah.
spent so much time in the studio. He really approaches his tone and what he plays from a perspective that not many players have, because he's so involved in so many different processes, making guitars, making records,
Yeah.
mixing record. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, that sounded good to me, and I went with it. No, it's
Yeah.
meticulously planned out. Like, he probably had that whole rig in his head for months before he even built it. Just
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
The thing about him too is he probably pays the bills, the mortgage, his kids, school tuition via the studio. And going out with Converge is almost a vacation.
Vacation is
Yeah.
fun for him.
Yeah.
And also, a funny thing about the Converge rundown was, you have him on one end, and then Nate on the other end of the spectrum that's like, it's a bass.
I plug it in and go. Yeah.
Well, that's a pedal.
Yeah. And I didn't notice it until watching it back while you're editing it, and you sent me a screenshot while
There's
you were
an
doing
Easter
it.
egg in that rundown.
Yeah, Nate's just hanging out.
Aggressively, ominously eating a banana.
Another
background.
Another one I know that was on our list as we're talking before rolling was Eric Gales. You
Oh, yeah.
Didn't make the list on
Situation.
view count, but you had a favorite moment from that.
Oh yeah, it was. He was. Watch the video. In it, he's got a looper on his pedal board, and so he demonstrates it, and he starts it out, and I'm thinking, oh man, this thing is so cattywampus. He will never, never stick the landing. And he built on it, and it just ends up in this amazing loop. Now, all of us have tried to build loops before, and you gotta abort a lot of times.
Oh, he stuck
and he
the
was
landing on a
just,
leap of
God,
faith.
yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, all right, cool. And then somehow it came out sounding amazing.
Yeah, because when he's starting, I'm like, where is the one?
Yeah.
But he knew. Eric's an amazing musician.
Yeah.
And that's in real time, unfaked. No smoke and mirrors, to see somebody just pull off an incredible bit of musicianship in front of you. And we get that often in rig rundowns, but it is really cool to
It's kind of like
see that.
nailing the triple axel in the Olympics.
Yes, whatever that is.
Figure skating.
It's almost like, you're watching somebody play darts and you say, hey, hit a bullseye, and the guy just does it.
Yeah.
Like that's how Eric is. He just nails it. It's
incredible.
Yeah.
I think the one that we can maybe close on is that, at least for me, was really fun, and it kind of speaks to the Billy Strings lane, was Trey Hensley, who's like one of the best, fastest, most articulate flat pickers. But he, again, embraces the pedal boards.
Oh yeah.
Remember we did that at Three Sirens?
Like a metal zone or something.
Yeah.
This guy's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, just like Ralph Stanley, right through a metal zone.
Now, if you've got an extra 8-9 hours, go watch his rundown.
Yeah.
really long one. But if you don't already, follow Trey on Instagram, because, man, just like on a whim in his kitchen, he's just posting some of the most scorching fast, cool, flat picking.
And then we'll pick up a Les Paul and just tear
murder it.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah.
Well, thanks to you guys, for everyone watching. Hopefully you got some fun out of this video. And a big thanks to our sponsor, D'Addario.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming along for the ride for not only these last years, but again in 2024. See you guys next year.
Cheers.